He was just a teenager who left school in the middle of the Great Depression, with nothing but the pressure of putting food on the table for his struggling family. No one at that time could have guessed that the same boy would one day create a global empire built on coffee and donuts. From a small shop in Quincy, Massachusetts, his idea spread across the United States and far beyond, turning into a daily ritual for millions. Dunkin' became more than a place to grab breakfast. It became a habit, a symbol of comfort, and even a challenger to coffee giants like Starbucks. But behind the pink and orange branding is a story of ambition. How did a donut shop climb its way into the heart of American culture? Why did it decide to erase the very word donuts from its name? From lawsuits to marketing blunders threatened to shake its reputation along the way. This isn't just about donuts and coffee. It's about a hustler who turned setbacks into opportunity, pioneered the idea of franchising, and left behind a brand recognized in every corner of the world. His name was William Rosenberg, and his dream forever changed how America starts its mornings. But this isn't just a simple success story. This is a tale of near-catastrophic mistakes, brutal corporate takeovers, and an identity crisis that threatened to destroy the very brand he built. William Rosenberg was born in 1916 in Boston, Massachusetts, into a struggling working-class family. His father ran a small grocery store that eventually failed during the Great Depression, while his mother, though barely literate, was a gifted cook who filled the home with the smell of fresh food. From a young age, Rosenberg learned responsibility by the time he was 10. He was selling ice cream, delivering groceries, and working odd jobs just to help his family survive. At 14, Rosenberg left school for good and became a full-time telegram delivery boy for Western Union. By 17, he joined Simco, an ice cream distribution company, starting as a delivery boy and rising quickly to become national sales manager at just 21, overseeing fleets of refrigerated trucks and managing operations across production, storage, and distribution. These years gave him hands-on training in food logistics and the power of efficient systems. When World War II broke out, Rosenberg worked at Bethlehem Steel in Hingham, Massachusetts. Thanks to his background in refrigeration, he secured an essential shipyard job and even became the first Jewish trade union delegate. But when the war ended, Rosenberg was determined to build something of his own. With $1,500 in war bonds and a $1,000 loan from his mother, he launched Industrial Luncheon Services, a catering business serving factory workers. Rosenberg personally designed his own catering trucks with stainless steel shelves, heating units, and fold-up sides, an early version of the modern food truck. Within a few years, he had 200 catering trucks, 25 in-plant outlets, and a vending operation. Yet one detail stood out: 40% of his sales came from coffee and donuts. Rosenberg opened a dedicated shop in Quincy on Memorial Day, 1948, called Open Kettle. In 1950, the shop was rebranded as Dunkin Donuts, offering not just the typical 5 flavors other shops sold, but 52 varieties, one for every week of the year. It was affordable, fresh, and aimed at the working class. By 1955, with 6 stores open, Rosenberg pushed franchising as his model for growth, sparking the rapid nationwide expansion of Dunkin'. Never one to stop experimenting, Rosenberg even launched a short-lived fast food chain in the 1960s, Howdy Beef Burgers, designed to compete with McDonald's. By the late 1960s, Dunkin' had gone public, and the brand was spreading rapidly across the East Coast. This era also gave rise to one of Dunkin's most beloved cultural icons, Fred the Baker. Played by actor Michael Vale, Fred starred in the legendary Time to Make the Donuts commercials, portraying a weary but dedicated baker who woke up before dawn every day to serve fresh donuts. The ads ran from 1981 to 1997 and became so popular that when Dunkin' retired the character, they held an official retirement parade in Boston. Meanwhile, Rosenberg himself, after battling lung cancer, shifted focus to his Wilrose farm in New Hampshire, becoming the largest breeder of standard-bred horses in New England. By the 1990s, Rosenberg's creation had grown into thousands of stores worldwide, a true franchise empire built on the simple idea of coffee and donuts. His journey from 8th grade dropout to global pioneer laid the foundation for one of the most recognizable brands on the planet. In the 1990s, Dunkin Donuts entered a new era of corporate ownership. In 1990, the brand was acquired by Allied Domecq, a British conglomerate that also owned Baskin-Robbins. The two chains were merged into Dunkin brands, opening combined outlets that offered both donuts and ice cream. Around the same time, Dunkin absorbed its old rival Mr. Donut, giving franchisees the chance to switch banners. Between 2000 and 2005, Dunkin continued to expand abroad, but Allied Domecq itself was struggling financially. In 2005, the company sold Dunkin brands to a consortium of private equity firms, Bain Capital, Carlyle Group, and Thomas H. Lee Partners, for $2.4 billion. By 2006, Dunkin launched its most famous marketing campaign, "America Runs on Dunkin." The slogan became a cultural touchstone, positioning Dunkin as the fuel for busy, hard-working Americans, fast, simple, and affordable. This was a direct counterattack to Starbucks, which represented premium coffee culture, Italian-inspired menus, and leisurely cafe experiences. By 2008, the rivalry between Dunkin and Starbucks was in full swing. Dunkin mocked Starbucks' complicated menu in cheeky ads and doubled down on its identity as the no-nonsense everyday coffee chain. While some markets welcomed Dunkin's affordable style, others, including India and South Korea, saw stores close after struggling to adapt. Through the late 2000s, Dunkin leaned heavily into beverages. Donuts, once its core identity, began to fade into the background. Franchise owners filed lawsuits over supply chain costs and rigid contracts. Critics argued the company was trying too hard to be a coffee brand while still relying on donuts to drive sales. As the 2010s began, Dunkin was still powered by the success of its "America Runs on Dunkin" campaign. But the decade would bring both growth and controversy. In 2011, Dunkin Brands went public with an IPO that raised nearly $400 million. Becoming a publicly traded company put Dunkin under new pressure from Wall Street to grow faster. This push for scale and profitability shaped many of the company's choices in the decade ahead. In 2011 to 2012, Dunkin also pushed further into global markets, tailoring menus to local tastes, mochi donuts in Japan, and rice pudding-filled donuts in India. While some experiments worked, others failed, and Dunkin struggled to build lasting success in certain regions. By 2013, controversy struck. In Thailand, Dunkin ran an ad for a charcoal donut that featured a woman in blackface makeup. Though the ad barely caused a ripple locally, international media branded it offensive and racially insensitive, sparking backlash abroad. The mid-2000s brought even deeper troubles. In 2015, Dunkin suffered a major data breach, with hackers compromising customer loyalty accounts. The company downplayed the event, a move that would come back to haunt it. In 2016 to 2017, Dunkin faced lawsuits from franchisees. In 2018, the company made its boldest move yet, officially dropping the word donuts from its name, rebranding simply as Dunkin. Executives argued the shift reflected reality beverages were driving more than 60% of its revenue. The same year, Dunkin was hit with another massive data breach, this time affecting more than 300,000 accounts. In 2019, the New York Attorney General sued Dunkin, accusing it of failing to protect customers and ignoring the earlier 2015 breach. Dunkin settled, paying fines and taking a reputational hit. In New Jersey, a woman sued Dunkin after suffering severe burns from spilled hot coffee, echoing consumer safety lawsuits that have long haunted fast food chains. That same year, the brand found surprising cultural relevance when paparazzi photos of Boston native Ben Affleck constantly carrying Dunkin' coffee, went viral. Dunkin' partnered with Affleck for humorous ads, keeping the brand in the spotlight despite mounting challenges. By the late 2000s, health advocates were targeting Dunkin' for its calorie-heavy drinks and sugary snacks, linking them to America's obesity crisis. Younger consumers were drifting toward boutique chains like Blue Bottle, Stumptown, and specialty cafes, leaving Dunkin' fighting to keep up with changing tastes. The new decade began with a shock that no company could have fully prepared for: the COVID-19 pandemic. Like much of the food service industry, Dunkin' was hit hard. In 2020, it announced the closure of more than 800 stores in the United States, many of them low-performing outlets or locations inside convenience stores and gas stations. For a brand built on daily routines and morning commutes, the pandemic disrupted the very heartbeat of its business. That same year, Dunkin' entered yet another era of ownership. In late 2020, the chain was acquired by Inspire Brands, the fast-growing restaurant group that also owns Arby's, Sonic, and Baskin-Robbins. Under Inspire's ownership, Dunkin' announced ambitious expansion plans. But rising food prices and inflation meant those growth targets faced serious headwinds. The $11.3 billion deal was one of the largest in restaurant industry history.
This is big news tonight. Dunkin' is being sold. The Canton-based coffee giant purchased by Inspire Brands. The price was huge, $11.3 billion. Inspire Brands is the parent company of Arby's, Sonic, and Buffalo Wild Wings.
So what does a corporate giant like Inspire do with an iconic but struggling brand? The answer would determine if Dunkin' could survive in a new world of boutique coffee shops and health-conscious consumers. The company began shifting toward a digital-first strategy. Mobile ordering, loyalty apps, and third-party delivery partnerships became central to its business. With fewer people visiting in person, Dunkin' doubled down on convenience, aiming to be just as accessible from a smartphone as it had once been from a neighborhood corner shop. The brand also faced tragic headlines. In Philadelphia, a Dunkin' store manager was shot and killed during a robbery, sparking public outrage and raising questions about employee safety in fast food chains.
Do you recognize this man? Philadelphia police say he is responsible for robbing a Dunkin' at gunpoint and then shot and killed the manager after she gave up the money.
To stay relevant in culture, Dunkin' also leaned into bold collaborations. From limited edition sneakers with Saucony, inspired by Dunkin's branding and released around the Boston Marathon, by 2025, Dunkin' remains a US giant, second only to Starbucks. Its shift to being a coffee-first brand has kept it competitive, but raised criticism that it has drifted too far from its roots as America's donut shop. At its core, Dunkin' is more than a brand. It's a cultural ritual, born in Quincy in 1948 and grown into a multinational franchise. The legacy of William Rosenberg, the 8th grade dropout who pioneered modern franchising, still looms large. Dunkin' began with one man's simple dream that hardworking people deserved fresh coffee and donuts they could afford. From a single shop in Quincy to a global empire, it became more than a brand. It became a habit, a ritual, even a part of America's identity. But every empire faces its test. Dunkin' has battled rivals, controversies, and cultural shifts. It has reinvented itself time and again, sometimes boldly, sometimes controversially. And now, in a world of boutique cafes, health trends, and digital-first consumers, one question remains. Can Dunkin' stay true to its roots while still shaping the future? William Rosenberg, the 8th grade dropout who built this empire, proved that vision and determination could change an entire industry. His legacy lives on in every store, every cup, every morning routine. If William Rosenberg walked into a Dunkin' today, would he be proud of the global empire he created, or would he barely recognize the soul of his original dream? So the next time you sip that coffee or grab that donut, remember you're not just holding a snack. You're holding a piece of history, a story that began with one man's dream and still asks, even today,